Welcome back to the Green Talk. I'm your host, Misraim Mata. And today's conversation is with someone who represents the heart of what this industry is really about: people, growth, and the quiet leadership that doesn't always make noise, but always makes impact. I'm excited to welcome Abbie Donner to the show. Abbie is a business analyst at Donner Brothers Landscaping. How you doing today, Abbie?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited to be here and happy to have the opportunity to talk about our business and my journey into it.
Awesome. Thank you for making this happen. It's nice to talk to you after a few months when we met the first time in Las Vegas in that
Yes.
conference. It was so awesome to see your mom in that presentation and everything you guys are doing up there with the technology and everything. But before we start talking about landscaping and spreadsheets and systems, everybody starts with an introduction.
Mhm.
So I want to talk about you. Who was Abby before stepping into the green industry?
Yeah. So before stepping into the green industry, my life was really surrounded around two things: being family and being on a sports team. My family is super tight knit, and I'm the oldest of four girls. So I'm in a big family, but being the oldest of four girls is really awesome. And I love being the oldest and being in a big family and being in a family that's real purpose is to be very close and support each other and have a safe environment where everyone feels love at all times and we do everything together and really honestly follow in each other's footsteps. Five of us actually are going to be at the same college. The fifth one hasn't decided yet, but I think it's very likely she'll end up there. We all have played the same sports, like the same things. Of course, we have differences, but at the core of us, we're all very similar and we love to spend time with each other. The center of our family really is sports, whether that's with skiing or lacrosse. My dad played collegiate lacrosse at Babson, and me, my sister Michaela, and my sister Liv did as well. Liv is still there, and Grayson, my youngest sister, will likely end up there as well. But sports is a huge thing for us and a big thing we connect on. And sports for me really has shaped the way that I lead, how I communicate with people, my work ethic, how to push through hard things. And I really have brought that mindset and what I've learned through sports into my work. In high school, I was really unsure of what I wanted to study come college, but I always loved math, connecting with people, and was very curious about the way things worked. I just didn't know how that would tie into an area that I would study in college. When I got pretty deep into the recruiting process for lacrosse, I realized that business was something where these interests really tied into, and that's what I wanted to do. Business also just offers a multitude of different jobs and opportunities. And knowing that I wanted to do business, that led me to Babson College. It's a very, very good business school and is one of the best in the country. And getting the opportunity to go there was absolutely amazing. And aside from academics, they have a very good lacrosse team. So it satisfied that area as well. When I got into my sophomore year at Babson, I took an operations class, and that's when it really clicked for me that this is the subset of business that I really want to go into that ties all my interests together. And due to COVID, I had an extra year of eligibility to play lacrosse and get my master's. And when looking into master's programs, I knew that business analytics would be the perfect thing to tie to with operations, because in order to make decisions with operations, you need data behind it. So it's really just such a good foundation with operations. And the program as well also teaches you a lot about different technologies. So it was just the perfect program to go into. I loved that I chose that and I had a great experience in it. And as I was saying before, two of my sisters went to Babson. So in my grad year, I actually got to play on the same team as two of them, which was the most incredible experience ever and one that not a lot of people get to have. So that was awesome. But aside from all of that, in terms of hobbies, I love to just spend time outside, spend time with family. We love to play all different sports: pickleball, spike ball, all different things. We love to be out on our boat, be on the water. So I think that definitely encompasses what my journey was like before I actually stepped into the green industry.
Awesome. A lot of things.
Yeah.
A lot of things. That's great. And having those values of of the family and be together, and that's great. That's really great, and that for sure helps in this case yourself to make that impact and now in the industry. Let me ask you, do you always see yourself working with data, with systems and strategy? Or and at some point in you early, before you were thinking something else?
I definitely didn't see myself in that. I don't think until I got to college. As I was saying my interest before, I always was good at math and liked math, but I wasn't necessarily sure that that was something I wanted to go into and that that was something I was going to find joy in. I always put a lot of emphasis on making sure that whatever career I was going to choose, I was going to find joy in it and be passionate about it, but definitely didn't always see myself there. Once I got to Babson and took that operations class and decided I wanted to do business analytics, that's when I definitely knew that that was something I wanted to do. But it wasn't, I didn't always know that that job title and that section of business was something that I wanted to do. But once I got to college, it definitely became more clear.
Yeah, awesome. And you know, you mentioned it that you and your family do a lot of things together, and that's great. And growing up around a family business, did you imagine yourself inside or outside of it at some point of your life?
Yeah. I actually never pictured myself inside the business until I think June of this year. Being the oldest child and wanting to be independent and carve my own path, do my own thing, I really thought kind of success for me. And I would feel that success if I did my own thing. And I also feel like I let the judgment and opinions of others cloud my viewpoint on joining the family business because I felt like my peers would think joining the family business meant I was handed this job, that I didn't work for it. And I really let that cloud my judgment. Definitely have regrets on that, but I'm also learning and growing and I still ended up where I wanted to be. But I definitely let that cloud my judgment of it. Once June came around, I ended up getting ACL surgery in beginning of June. And through that recovery, I was going to take a different job, but because of my recovery, I couldn't. So when the end of June came around and I ended up not taking that job or that ended up not happening, my mom approached me and said that they wanted to hire a business analyst and told me what this person would do, what skills they wanted. And then she said, like, you are the perfect person for this job. What you did at Babson, your master's, it completely gives you the skills to be able to do this job. And once she was saying that to me, that's kind of when I really started to see myself being in the business and knew I could bring a unique skill set that they haven't had before and be able to be in a role they haven't had before. And that was really appealing to me. And when I started to kind of see myself in it, but in that same conversation, she asked if I wanted to go to the Lawn and Landscape Conference in Vegas. And she said there, that's when you'll learn more about the industry, come hear people speak, especially landscaper people, and also to hear her speak. So I immediately jumped on that, wanted to do that. And so I went to that. The first person I heard speak was Mark Bradley. And the passion and commitment, his mission, just immediately after hearing that, I was like, okay, this is an industry I see myself in. And I completely see myself in my parents' business now as well. Like, this is absolutely what I want to do. And then through hearing my mom speak about the technology that they have implemented, didn't really know about that and was amazed at that. And then meeting different people like yourself, meeting like these awesome, amazing, successful people just affirmed for me even more that this isn't just a family business I want to be in, but this industry is one that I really want to be in and one that I know I'm going to love to be in.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree with you in that part when you go to this conference and see that the landscape industry is more than just mow, blow, edge,
Yeah.
trim. It's like a whole space universe of
Yes.
people and systems and softwares and technology is amazing. It's
Mhm.
amazing. And I'm with you. Meeting people is for me is my favorite portion of it. Meeting new people. So that's great. Thank you for sharing that story with us. Actually, that covers part of my next question with you. Is like, that transition of stepping into a family business. But was something that surprised you once you officially joined your family business that you wasn't expected?
Yeah, so I was really surprised at how, at least for us being in an area where we get snow, that snow and ice operations and green season are completely separate. That really surprised me. And the paces between them are very different, at least for me, because I'm not involved in snow and ice. So the pace of winter compared to green season is drastically different. And also your day to day looks very different. So that was definitely very surprising to me. The pace of green season, I knew it was fast paced. A lot has to happen. People are very busy. Like I saw how long my parents work during green season and how much busier they get. But I definitely was surprised of how fast paced it is actually being in it and experiencing what that feels like. And I came on in the fall, beginning of September. So I came on with about 2.5 months left of green season at the end of it when fatigue is setting in, burnout is setting in. And when I was diving into the data, I was seeing a lot of issues with it. And I wanted to update systems and make change right away, not really understanding how fast paced this is, what else is at play here, how these people have been running on the same system for 6 months. And that now at the end of it, I'm trying to update the system, change the system. And I was also trying to put a bunch of changes on them at once and without letting them master it too. So definitely was an early mistake of mine and a learning point of mine, but just knowing the pace of green season and how fast it is and how different variables come into play was definitely surprising to me for sure.
Yeah, yeah, different. And normally in the market that you guys serve, when the green season stop, or when is that transition? October?
Yeah, I would say it's usually end of October is
Okay.
kind of when we start to transition.
Okay. All right. And I want to bring you back a little bit to that transition time or period of time where you started, in the company. How did your family support it, or how they test you in those early days?
Yeah. My parents are so supportive. I cannot talk more highly about them. They were really good at instilling confidence in me from day one, really being great about recognizing the good things that I'm doing and just being really great about positive reinforcement, talking to me all the time, building up my confidence in this new role that I had in a business where I really wanted to prove myself. But they definitely also supported me by just giving me the freedom and ability to be able to choose how I measure data, how I communicate it, what dashboards I want to build. I had a lot of freedom in that. They didn't really make it super structured. They told me the data they wanted to see, but they didn't make it tell me exactly how I have to do it. I got a lot of freedom there, which was a lot of support because it showed they really trusted me, really believed in me, and believed in the skill sets that I brought. So I definitely felt support by them from day one. I think they definitely challenged me in the way that I communicated the data. Got a definitely a good amount of feedback from that because I was used to communicating data to my peers and professors in my business analytics program, which is a very different audience than what I experience at the landscaping business I'm a part of now. So I definitely was tested in the way that I communicated it and definitely got a lot of feedback of that and had to reiterate a bunch. But it was all great feedback and they challenged me in a great way to be able to understand my audience more and to be able to have personal conversations with each person I was storytelling this data to try to understand what they want to see and what makes most sense for them. So I would definitely say that was a way that they tested me for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. And I think you mentioned something about proving yourself just a few seconds ago and also at the beginning of our conversation. But, your cases, I don't want to say unique, but not every person in the industry, right, have the opportunity to work or start working into a family owned business, right? Most of us would just come to a company and then just do our work. How did you establish your own professional identity being on that role?
Yeah. So I think for me, I really wanted to show people that I work hard, that I'm going to bring data to everything, and then I also really care about people. From the beginning, I really tried to have conversations with everyone in the business, try to connect to them on a personal level and show that I'm someone who really cares, but who isn't going to walk in like I own the place just because I have Downer as my last name, that I'm someone I want to be on the same playing field as everyone else. I don't want to be treated differently just because of my last name. And I think I really tried to do that through personal connections with people, through talking about them, about their personal life, but also talking to them, trying to understand their role, trying to understand what they enjoy about it, what they don't enjoy about it, ways I can help them fix it and bring data into it to help them. And then in terms of establishing myself with data, I tried every meeting we had, I would bring data into it and just prove that this is something that's going to be a topic of conversation and that's going to be woven into everything we do in a way that we do continuously try to improve. So I definitely tried to establish myself in those ways. And then also just through working hard, showing that I'm going to show up early. I'm going to stay late. I really want to work hard. I want to be focused. So just establishing myself that way and just trying to prove to people that I don't think I'm better than people just because I'm the daughter of the owners and that I think I should get special privileges because of that as well.
Awesome, awesome, and I'm sure you're doing a great job up there. Showing yourself the value of the role and everything you're doing in your parents' company or in the family's company. And you mentioned it earlier a little bit about how the weather, the seasons, the role that it plays into the way we operate in the green industry, right? And weather lately is really all over the place. So we got snowstorms and then, it's all over the place. So how someone new into this space has been stepping into, your role, the way you operate and, learning how the industry operate based on the seasons of the weather.
Mhm. I think for me, learning all that stuff really comes down to being curious and asking questions and not being afraid to ask questions. Really try to make it a priority to ask questions, whether that's in meetings, in conversations with field experienced team members, or just in one-to-one conversations. I have the opportunity to work in an office with two people who have a lot of experience in the field and who spend time in the field in their role. So I ask questions to them all the time, single day, just trying to understand everything I can about their role, about their experience and their knowledge. And then I also just have tried to really immersing myself in the data has also led me to learn a lot of this as well, whether that's also with working in LMN, with cleaning the data, with looking at different service items and estimates. Really immersing myself in that has helped me learn a lot about the industry and about a lot about the different variables at play, operations, just different things we see. And then I also just explore a lot of LMN because we operate fully out of LMN and everything is stored in there. So really just looking in there all the time. I look at estimates a lot, how we structure those service items. I look at the reports a lot, obviously. Look at all different types of reports, invoices, just everything across the board, just trying to work a lot in LMN and explore that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, just being curious and asking questions for me has been the best way to learn things. And also having my parents at my disposal to be able to ask them questions even when we're not at work is huge too.
That's awesome. That's good. Be able to, if you have questions and hey, probably at dinner time, hey mom or dad, whatever. What about these? So talking about language, how do you go about learning the language of the industry? Plans, operations, margins, timing. You learning that pretty well?
Yeah, I definitely still have a lot to learn and I think it's going to take me a long time to learn it. But I think just being so involved in the data and the more data I extract to and look at and storytell with it, I think helps a lot with that. But I also just being a part of meetings, my parents from the beginning really tried to involve me in every single meeting they could, which helped me learn a lot about the language of this industry and just the operations too, which is amazing to have that opportunity to be a part of these meetings and just listen in and then be able to ask questions too, I think has really helped with learning that stuff. But I think just continuing to look at the data is going to help. Also, my parents give me the opportunity to go to all the landscaper conferences. So talking with those people and learning things there too helps a lot about knowing this industry for sure. But I have a lot to learn, which I know definitely, but taking the time each day to ask questions and to learn something new, to research stuff, to talk to different employees, I think definitely helps. But I also know I have a long way to go for sure.
It's a process.
Yeah.
It's a process,
Definitely.
but it's always something new to learn every day. And now that you've been in the industry for a few months already, what do you think people outside the landscaping industry misunderstand about the work we do?
Yeah. I think most people really misunderstand our industry as a whole. I think as we were talking about earlier, you were saying that people think that landscaping is just simple labor and the services we offer. I feel like they don't really understand how much technology we use, how big this industry, and how much room for growth there is. Mark Bradley always talks about how landscaping companies are becoming tech companies, which is very true. You'll hear a lot of landscape companies talk about their tech stack and how many different technologies and softwares and platforms they're leveraging, which I really don't think people realize about this industry. It's also an industry too. We're not stagnant. We're really growing and adopting these technologies to grow this industry. And this industry is also huge. There's, I think, about 600,000 companies in the US alone. It's a really big industry, and it's also a complex industry where the opportunities in this industry are really endless. And it also doesn't just contain employees that are skilled in these services, like a skilled stonemason or people who are very skilled at edging or knowing how to mow lawns well. You have people who are really skilled at managing people, at operations, with technology. Like you have people who are skilled across the board that you find at other companies. And I feel like people have a very narrow perspective of this industry, which honestly I did as well until I was able to talk with my parents more and attend that conference in, where was that, Vegas, and then attend a Leanscaper conference in Dallas. My perspective was narrow as well. And there's just a lot of stereotypes too around the trades as a whole. So I think people definitely just have this narrow perspective and also don't take the initiative to learn more about this industry.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. There is a lot of things that yeah, people don't realize that it is happening in the landscape companies. It's a lot of parts, a lot of moving parts. About. I would like to talk about your your role,
Mhm.
like your daily operations as a business analyst. What's a day looks like for Abby?
Yeah, so my day to day in the winter versus the green season is very different. I'll first talk about my day to day in the winter. It's really been revolved around building and improving systems and creating smart goals out of that for people to help us do that along with us. So my day to day, me and my parents meet pretty much every single day to do like create smart goals to figure out how we can build and improve processes. But we also have meetings to refine our mission and vision, to set clear roles, to determine metrics we want to measure come this green season, to think of our 2026 goals. So the winter is very big picture, but mostly centered around process improvements and preparation. So when we hit the green season, we're ready to go and we have all these processes lined out. So when green season comes, we're not putting a lot of changes on these guys when the pace is super fast and they're also experiencing conditions like really hot weather and fatigue and just how much strain the work puts on their body. So winter's mostly just about prepping for green season so we can be as prepared and as successful as we can be. But in terms of my day to day in green season, it's very much so centered around data, pulling reports, pulling that data, cleaning it, and then determining ways I can communicate it. I work a lot in Power BI to build dashboards. So a lot of my day to day is in there of taking my Excel spreadsheets, cleaning it to make sure that I'm able to actually use that data in Power BI. And then I create dashboards through Power BI. always centered around how I can create actionable insights based off of the data and how I can communicate that better. So my day-to-day in green season is very much so surrounded on that and about upkeeping these scorecards so people can know where they're at and how they can improve, just about how we can, make actionable small adjustments in season to make sure that we're on the right path and just knowing how we're doing week to week, month to month in green season.
Yeah. So preparation and then make things happen once the season hits. And you know, you being able to see all the data in the company. How do you balance all this data with the realities of the field work?
Yeah. So I think for me, what I've learned is that empathy is crucial. I really do need to recognize how hard these crew works and make sure I communicate it so that they feel like I understand how hard they work and the people managing them understand that as well. Looking at that data, it often shows a lot of gaps. And when processes are breaking down, we're not doing them correctly or that they just weren't built in a correct way. I need to make sure that I don't just see that right away and throw change on them immediately. It has to be very thought through. And I also have to be willing to train people on it, test it, make sure it's very, very thought out. I'm getting the opinions of a lot of different people before I implement these improvements. And that timing's also everything. To me, it seems very important when I see issues with data. However, it's a lot different with when I'm putting that change on the crew members and what they feel. So I really need to make sure that I'm thinking about their emotions and feelings and having empathy, and that I'm also making sure that I'm allowing them to master one change before I put another on them to make sure that the system actually sticks and that they're also able to improve on one thing and not have a bunch of things thrown at them while they're doing their field work and working super hard in a really fast-paced environment. So I think for me, it's really about partnering with them, working with them, but also showing that I understand how hard they work and that I don't experience that. I don't experience the weather. I don't experience how labor intensive it is. So just bringing empathy into that when I communicate these changes as well, I think has helped me really balance it.
Perfect. And I was thinking just about that, because for someone like you with the knowledge and the experience on dealing with all these spreadsheets and all this data, everything makes sense. But then when you have to talk or communicate your vision to a team member that has zero idea of spreadsheets of data, that's the hard part. And be able to understand or take under consideration all the factors that the team members are involved, working outside and how things are on a daily basis is really important. It's really important to be able to communicate that. So that's good that you're doing that. And are you having any specific issues? Or you finding this some sort of a problem communicating to the team members that have no idea about spreadsheets or the data that you see in every day?
Yeah, so I think for me, when I was creating these dashboards and trying to communicate the data, at least to upper management at first, it definitely was trial and error and getting a lot of feedback. For me at first, the way I was taught in my grad year of doing dashboards was these elaborate dashboards with a lot of different graphs and using heat maps and gauges and all these different things, like a really complex dashboard. But the way that our business operates, we try to make things as simple and as easily digestible as possible. And something like that has a lot of different graphs is not going to convey the message very easily. And that I really needed to simplify that and just focus on putting the most important metrics on the board just in a number format that people could understand. When it comes to trying to convey these metrics to our field workers, it's very different. And you have to really switch a lot of the language you use. You have to use a lot of different examples. You have to try to use just a lot of different examples, and you have to tailor your language to them and try to simplify it as much as possible and show them the benefit that it has to them of making this change and how it's going to impact their work, and also give them ways to make sure that they can improve, telling them different things of having a plan when you get there, making sure you bring your tools with you from the trailer, that all these different things are what's going to impact these numbers you're seeing. So, but that's also done through talking with these people, understanding them on a personal level, and really having not just one conversation, but many conversations with them to understand what they want to see and what they need and what they'll actually understand and grasp, I think is very important.
Yeah, it is, and it's also a very, it represents a lot of challenge to do that. And then if we add in top of that, that probably in some cases the language also, not just the industry or the landscape language. I'm talking about more like English,
Yes.
Spanish, or that's and I'm pretty sure you communicate with them in Spanish, right?
Yep. Me
Awesome.
personally?
Yes.
Hold on. Me personally?
Yeah, yeah,
No.
yeah. I know, I know. It was kind of
Yes.
a joke
Yeah.
about it.
I'll
Yeah.
get there one day. I
No,
really
I
do
know.
want to eventually learn Spanish, but
I know. I
Synthesia
know.
has been doing that for me for now.
I know. I know. It's a challenge for everyone. It's a
Yes.
challenge for everyone.
Yes.
But somehow we're making things work. But no, awesome. That's great. That's great. And even that you do the best you can, and even that you working on a family environment, kind of deal. Um, Things are not perfect. So how do you navigate? How do you challenge or figure it out when probably you want to do something and then leadership in the company say, wait, hold on, let's go this route.
Yeah.
So how do you navigate those differences?
Yeah. So I think it definitely really helps that me and my parents are very close and that we talk all the time. But for us, if I feel really strongly about making a change, it's for me, it's just all talking about the why behind it and talking about the different ways it could impact various people in the business, and just really trying to explain it fully and making sure that we all understand and that we have an in-depth conversation about it. However, I do really trust them and they've been very successful and I know that, and they know a lot more than me. I'm very new to this. So if I propose something that they don't like and that they don't want to go with, they won't immediately shut me down, but they'll say, "Why don't we think about this later? We're going to do this for now," but doesn't they say like that's not off the table. That's not something we're not going to consider eventually, but we're not going to do it now. And they're very good about that, but when we have these conversations, when especially with bringing in technology, I've definitely tried to bring in a lot of technology into the business and trying to also leverage AI too. And my dad specifically is not super advanced in technology and really willing to adopt it. He definitely is more cautious with it. So I've definitely experienced some barriers there, but my mom is a great bridge between us. As you've seen, she likes to use a lot of technology. So she's a great bridge between us and helps us in these conversations when me and my dad have very different viewpoints. But again, talking about the why behind it and also saying that I'm going to be very involved in the training of this, being the champion of this has really helped. And he is definitely willing to listen and understand for sure. So, but it also helps too that my mom is a good bridge because she understands being in that generation where they didn't grow up with technology that I did. For me, I've seen it every single day since when I can remember, and that it's something that's a part of my everyday life, and that it's also taught in high school and college. It's very woven into the curriculum too. So my mom definitely helps bridge that gap between knowing where my dad's coming from, but also she's very invested in technology as well and knows where I'm coming from too. So she definitely helps in these conversations when there are differences.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great to be able to have a backup, and I will say in general in the industry, that's it's a common thing where you know, either a family owned business or not, somebody wants to bring some sort of a technology, either a software or a tool. And there is always this, some people that are not great at it. And then they just refuse the change, right? It's just because they don't know about, but that's good that you have a good game plan in place and have the support
Yes.
of your parents. That's good. That's good. And so, what do you think about now, younger professionals? Something you think that they can learn from the green industry leaders?
Yeah, I think there's so much they can learn, but I think especially I was actually talking to my dad and someone who owns a company we might work with today. The evolution of this industry has happened so quickly. And over the past 30 years, this industry has really evolved. My dad was talking today, going from using push mowers to now having really technology advanced equipment. Some equipment is autonomous. You don't even need someone to be on it. The technology in this industry has really made this industry rapidly evolve. And these people who have been a part of it have really had to know how to embrace change and how to adapt and be resilient. So I think there's a lot of things you can learn from people just through these people who have been in it for a while and who have experienced how much change this industry has gone through and have clearly navigated it well. And also, as a person too, have known how to make sure that they have a mindset of wanting to constantly grow and being okay with change and embracing that, I think is huge. But these green industry leaders too, they just have so much experience and have talked to so many different people and interacted with so many people that there's just so much you can learn from them, and just asking them questions and asking them about their experience and what they've learned is so beneficial, especially in our industry that has changed so much that they have been a part of.
Yeah, definitely. There is no questions about how quickly the industry is changing, and that's a good thing, though. That's a good thing because it's
Mhm.
opened a lot of opportunities out there for pretty much everyone. And part of this change, and now I want to kind of keep talking about the industry, but in a different angle. So part of the change is women's entering into this space, right? So you being on a family run operation business, how or what's your experience been like so far on this, part of this change?
Yeah. So my family's business is actually very unique. I think the women in upper management outweigh the men, which is very unique. We added 3 more men in upper management, but then in the past couple months, we added 2 women too. So we are very unique in that way. I'm surrounded by female leaders, which has been awesome. But I think having a female and male both own the company is huge because my mom has experienced a lot of what being a female means in this industry that's very dominated by males. And especially with clients, they'll have clients who will only want to talk to my dad and who won't talk to my mom. So my mom has a lot of experience on what that feels like and how people immediately jump to wanting to talk to my dad because they don't have faith and trust in my mom just because of her gender. So I know the two of them have collaborated and worked very hard on making sure that our culture is one where females and males are on equal footing and that both of their opinions and skill sets are valued, and that they've really done a great job of building that. Because coming into this business, I never felt like I was treated differently just because of my gender and being a female. I have not felt like that at all. I feel like I'm regarded in the same way as all the males, which I know isn't the case for a lot of businesses, but for mine, I definitely know that my parents have worked very hard on that. And having my mom as an owner who has experienced not being treated the same way because of her gender, I think has really helped in building the culture. And it's definitely something that I know I'm lucky to have and that I'm very proud to be a part of. And also just to increase, especially within our frontline workers, it's definitely a little bit of a different story. There's dominated by males, but we do have a lot of females, and we're trying to increase females in our frontline workers as well. And for them too, the males, they just want someone to respect them, to show them that they work hard and that they care about them. We had one female named Sherilyn come on last summer, and her journey was very inspiring to me. She came in and immediately gained the respect of all the guys because she was super hardworking, made sure everyone around her was hardworking, but also made friendships with every single person she worked with.
Wow.
She's friends with so many different people of different cultures, different languages. She knows a little bit of Spanish, but she'll find ways to communicate with these guys who don't know English. She really tries to connect with these people on a personal level and be friends with all of them. And seeing her do that is just very inspiring to me. But it also shows too that there is a place for females everywhere in this industry and in this business. It's not just in the office or in management. They can be frontline workers as well and be respected and be treated the same way as the men treat each other.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for sharing that story. It's great. It's great. And yeah, definitely people like your mom probably they were the ones facing the hardest part of this changing or this change in the industry, right? Woman into the industry. But I feel like we're doing better as a whole on making this transition better for the females entering into the industry.
Yes.
And I would like to ask, what advice would you give to other women that are considering a role either landscaping, operations, leadership, management? Any advice that would you give them?
Yeah, I would first and foremost say to not underestimate the industry and definitely don't underestimate yourself. Women are needed in this industry in every different facet in the field, in management, ownership, ops, whatever it is, females are needed. And their perspective is something that's needed as well. They bring such a different perspective that men bring. And having that different perspective is only going to help the business. And this industry also just has so much to offer, and you can also really have the opportunity to change the lives of so many people around you. You can improve the quality of life of your employees, of your clients, of your community. There's so many different ways to impact people and to have a career that's really fulfilling and meaningful to you. My advice to someone starting out would just be to stay curious, ask questions, try to connect with people on a personal level, try to be friends with these people, care about their personal lives and how they're doing, invest in these people, learn the language of the business, bring your strengths. Don't be afraid to lead and speak up, use your voice, and just be willing to learn. You're not going to know everything on day one and you can't expect yourself to, but just be willing to ask questions and learn every day and just show up with respect and keep trying to raise the standard.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. It's really really amazing. Staying on the same topic, speaking on a natural way. What type of strengths do you think a woman brings to the industry?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, I think women really are good with emotions and understanding the emotions of people and understanding people's whys, what drives people, and just the way people work and just leading with compassion and kindness and wanting to get to know people on a personal level so they can know how they operate. I think women are very good at that. I think they're really good with communicating, with knowing how to advocate for themselves, how to stand up for what's right, how to resolve conflict, how to have these hard conversations, how to speak with clarity, and how to set expectations. And then also just the different perspectives they bring. Like women ask different questions. We have had different experiences than men based on how society works, especially in our country. It's a lot different what we experience and what men experience. We know how to see different risks and opportunities that other people miss. And we know how to bring a mindset of collaboration and of working together to get to the greater good. We're not just wanting to be gung ho about women and to say screw men. We're wanting to work with them to build a better society, to uplift people, and to build better businesses.
Complement each other, right?
Yes, absolutely.
That's I think that's something that I'm seeing. I mean, everything you say was perfectly just on point. Everything that a woman brings to the industry, and most of the times is what us as a man we fail, and then that's a compliment on it. That's what I think is making the industry better and better every day. So I would like to talk now about the future.
Mhm.
So looking 5, 10 years from now, what do you hope that your impact at the company now and your company will be? What's your goal?
Yeah. My goal is just to create systems and processes where people's jobs become easier and more enjoyable. I hope that I'm able to create these processes where in systems where people can also grow and see themselves growing past what they recently thought that they were capable of. And I just want to create a place and a business where people, it's not just a job and it is very hard work, but I want it to be work that becomes easier and that becomes more enjoyable, where people can thrive professionally and personally. So I just hope that I'm able to create processes and systems that make people's jobs easier and more enjoyable, and just create a place where, yeah, it's not simply just a job that people dread going to every day and that they clock in and out and then don't think about it and it doesn't have an impact on their lives. I want this job to have a really positive impact on their lives and to have it bring joy and positivity and happiness to their lives. And I hope in 5 years I can do that. But yeah, we'll see.
Or less.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. No, but great purpose and goal as well. And now it has a in your personal life, professional, where you see yourself in 5 years growing, staying and growing in the industry in the personal
Yeah.
level.
I think I've already, in the 5 months I've been at Downer Brothers, I've become extremely invested. So I definitely think that in 5 years I'll still be here. I think I will eventually want to take over the business and run the business and be the head of it. I hope I can draw some of my sisters into it too. I already know one of them wants to go on, but I aim to end up being a leader in this company and being eventually maybe being the owner of the company. But I know I want to stay in this industry. I'd be completely shocked if down the road I ended up changing industries, but I want to just be a leader in this industry. I think eventually I'll want to consult in this industry. I just love to help people, and that's really my passion. So any way I can help people, whether that's taking over this business and continuing it on, or maybe becoming a consultant to help other businesses based on what I've learned in mine and the experiences I had, that's kind of where I see myself going and think what will happen with me down the line.
Awesome, awesome. We wish you the best, and pretty sure you're gonna be able to meet all these goals, and any direction in the industry, you're gonna be able to keep making progress. So that's great. Thank you so much for thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing part of your daily activities and everything you're facing, and how your parents and everyone else at the company is helping you to thrive and to keep moving forward. And excited about what is ahead of the industry with new blood, with new people like you, and more people that are coming on board. So thank you, Abbie, for making the time to sit down with me and have this conversation.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you for having me on and for letting me shed a spotlight on our company, but also talk about women in the industry. I love that you're giving women a platform and you're really invested in increasing the amount of women in the industry. I think that's awesome. And this was just a very enjoyable experience. So I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on this podcast and do my first podcast. This was awesome.
Always. Thank you so much. And I really enjoyed this conversation. And I'm really sure that our listeners also will enjoy learning more about you, about Donner's company, Brothers Landscape Company, and everything you guys are doing up there. So thank you so much again for your time. And to our listeners, don't forget to subscribe and like this episode. And we'll see you until the next time. This is the Green Talk, the podcast.